Hey, Shane here with eTrailer.com. Today I'm going to walk through how to install the Solera 6-foot 7-inch slide topper on our 2019 Keystone Impact fifth wheel toy hauler. Adding a slide out topper to your slide out is very, very important. It's going to save you a lot of money in the long run, and it's going to protect everything on the inside as well as the top of your box. As you can see here, our fabric is actually going to cover the top part of our box that slides into the inside of the camper. What happens if we didn't have this? We're out camping and it rains. Water's going to pull up on here. Yes, this has a nice rubber seal and a lot of times it's going to push the water off. But a lot of campsites are going to have trees in them. In the fall, when those trees or those leaves change colors, we all like the beautiful colors of the trees. In the fall, we like to see them. When those leaves start falling off, if we don't have our top, those leaves are going to sit on top of our box. Well, when you combine that with the water, what does it create? It creates mold. If you don't get up and clean that off every single time when you slide your box back into your camper, where's that mold going? It's going inside, can cause allergies, can make you sick with all the different types of molds that are out there. Another thing is if you don't clean it off, when you roll your slide top or your slide out back in, if any of those leaves start to bunch up against this top edge of your T-molding, it can create a gap. If it creates a gap, water gets down inside. Where's that water? Again, it's going inside your camper. It can create a whole bunch of added costs later on that you're not going to need. Our fabric is going to be a durable vinyl. It's not going to crack during cold weather conditions. It's going to roll out 48 inches. So if we have an older camper or RV that may have a slide out that comes out a little bit farther, we're going to have plenty of fabric to cover the top of our box. They come in two different colors. You're going to get black or white. All of our brackets are going to come to match the fabric. So white's going to come with white brackets, black obviously is going to come with black. Another nice thing about these is it's also going to provide shade for the top of our box. So when we're out camping and it's a sunny day, the shade covering the top of that box is going to help cool down our camper a lot quicker. Not only are our tops going to come in black or white, but they're also going to come in many different sizes for different size slide outs. To measure your slide out, it's very important. What you're going to do is you're going to measure from the outside of your T-molding to the outside of your T-molding. Let's say our slide out is 6 foot. When you order your slide topper, if they have a 6-foot slide topper, you want to make sure you go one size up from that. You can see how our T-molding sticks out. We want our canopy or our fabric to come out to this edge. That means our roller is going to have to stick out a little bit past it. To begin our installation, if you have a gutter or anything like that put up, it needs to come off. After that, go ahead and clean it up, take off any of the old caulking or anything like that that they had on there. Remove all that, make sure it's clean and flat. And then what you want to do is you want to fill the previous screw holes. The reason we're doing this is we're going to have to put a rail up here that our canopy is going to slide in because obviously we don't have one. Once you get it cleaned off, you got your holes filled, take a measuring tape and from the top of your box in a few different places, you're going to go at least 3 inches up from the top. That's going to be the bottom edge of your rail that your canopy is going to be sliding in. I'd put a couple of them along the edge so that when you put your rail up, it's going to be in a straight line. You want to make sure it's not turned or leaning one way or the other because then your canopy is going to roll up crooked. The next thing we're going to need is we're going to need butyl tape. You're going to take your rail, it's going to look like this. This is what's going to be mounted at that 3-inch mark. This is where our canopy slides in so it holds it against the camper as we're rolling it out. You're also going to need these two brackets. These two brackets mount on the outside wall of your slide out. We're going to be putting butyl tape on these and the back of this rail to seal it. And what that does is as we drive the screw in to hold it to the wall, it's going to grab that butyl tape and it's going to pull that butyl tape in that hole to help seal that hole, make sure no water or anything gets inside. Take your rail, flip it over to the back side. We're going to run our butyl tape right on the inside here. We're going to make sure we're covering the screw holes. Butyl tape does not come in your kit, but you can find it here at eTrailer.com, and I would highly recommend putting this on. this, run it right inside of there, from one end all the way to the other. You notice on these brackets, there's a rail here at the top, and the bottom side is kind of angled. This is going to be the bottom, this is going to be the top. This is going to go right up against your T-molding. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our butyl tape, I'm going to go right along this top edge, so that as we put the screws in and it pulls that butyl tape or smashes it down, it's going to smash it up against the bottom of that T-molding and help seal that gap between this bracket and that T-molding. Once you get it all on, you're going to come back and you're just going to kind of push it into place like this. Make sure it's got a good hold on the back of the rails and the brackets. The hardware that we're going to be using to mount these, for these brackets, you're going to need a square head bit. It's going to be flat. That's going to be for those. And then you're going to have a bag with rounded heads, square head bits, and that's for this rail. Let's go ahead and get our rails and our brackets installed. For our side brackets, go ahead and peel the paper off the butyl tape. We want to go to this top edge. We're going to take this top rail, as I mentioned, right up against here. And the butyl tape will actually help hold it in place while we put our screws in. Flat screws, square head bit. Now with all of our screws in place, we're going to repeat this process for the other bracket on the other side. Now before we put our rail up, we're going to take a pair of needle nose pliers, even a screwdriver will work. We're going to take the two corners and we're going to bend them out so that when we slide our canopy in, that corner is not potentially snagging on the canopy. It's going to make it a little bit easier. So just grab the corner and you're just going to bend it out like that. Then we're going to take our rail and we're going to set this bottom edge on our marks that we made. Now, you notice I'm putting my screw holes up. These can actually be installed either way, up or down. I'm installing this way so they match the rest of the trailer, the rest of the brackets from the manufacturer. We're going to center it. We'll start at one end and set it on our marks. Now I'm going to install my screws. What I'm doing is I'm actually skipping a couple just to make sure my rail stays in place as I'm putting all the rest of the screws in. Now we're going to come back and we're going to actually seal the top of this rail. So what I like to do is any of the butyl tape that is squished out is go through, take a sharp blade, and you don't have to push on it because you don't want to cut the siding on the camper. All we got to do is just run it over top of that butyl tape a couple times. And you can pull it off. So to seal the top of our rail, what I'm going to be using is this extreme non-sag sealant. It's white to match the side of the camper. It's by LaSalle Bristol. This does not come in your kit, but you can find it here at eTrailer.com. I would highly recommend using it on the top of your rails. Now that our rails are on the camper, we got them sealed up. Now it's time to get our canopy ready to be installed onto the side of the camper. I like to set it the way I'm going to be putting it on the camper or RV. You're going to have a couple of rods that look like this. You're going to have a hole in the bottom of this arm. There's going to be a hole in the bottom of this rod, or in the rod. We're going to take it and we're going to slide it in like this, and we want to line up those holes. Just like that. We're going to take a cap, looks like this. You're going to see it's going to have an open end. That open end needs to go to the hole. Self-tapper, we're going to install it into the bottom of the hole. We're going to do this on both ends of our canopy. Once we get our canopy up in place, to get the remaining hardware put in, we're going to need an 1/8 inch Allen head or Allen wrench, a 1/4 inch socket, and a 5/16 socket. Now with an extra set of hands, we're going to slide our canopy onto our roller or onto our bracket and make sure that these arms are facing out. You want to unroll it no more than one time to give you a little extra. You're going to take that bead and slide it into that hole or into that slot. We'll slide it all the way down. We're going to take this bracket, we're going to slide it in here. We're going to take our other bracket, we're going to slide it on like that. We're going to line it up. Now, on the back of these brackets, it has two different places you can put it. The bottom one gives you a little bit more height. What you're going to find is when sliding this bracket on, sometimes these screw holes or screw heads might bind this up a little bit. So if you take a rubber mallet and just tap it, just like that. Now what we can do is we can center our canopy, make sure we're even on both sides, and then put in the remaining hardware. Now we're going to take our small Allen head bolt. We're going to put it in the whatever two slots we're using. Since we're using the top 2 slots in the bracket, we're going to put it in the top 2 holes. We're going to have one for each hole. In each bracket. Go ahead and tighten those down. These are to keep your bracket from sliding. And we're going to take a 5/16 socket and we're going to put these self-tappers right up through these 2 holes into this rod. One thing I will say is when putting these in, once it starts grabbing, go slow with it so you don't break the head off of the bolt. Once we get all this hardware put in, we're going to grab the roller, take some needle nose pliers. If you notice this clip here, this clip is what is keeping the spring from rolling. It's keeping the tension on it. So we're going to twist it. We're going to grab it at this end that's hooked in. We're going to pull it out. Just like that. And I would suggest hanging on to these clips so that if you ever need to take this off, you can actually turn that, stick these clips back in. It'll keep these arms from spinning when you go to take it off. Once we get our pins out, we want to check our canopy to make sure it's not pulling one side or the other. Because as we unroll it and roll it back up, it's going to roll more to that side. By adjusting it up there, simply grab your roller, twist it just a little bit, and you can slide your canopy inside this rail to get it straight. Then we're going to take these small black self-tappers, a 1/4 inch socket, from each end on this rail where the canopy meets the rail, about 1 inch in, we're going to take this and we're going to drive it down through the rail, through the bead in the canopy. That's going to keep our canopy from shifting inside that rail as we unroll it and roll it up. Now we're going to go ahead and slide our slide out, test out our canopy, and make sure it's working correctly. Once you've tested it out, you know everything's working correctly, you're ready to go. Again, I'm Shane with eachother.com. I hope this video has helped you, whether you're still deciding or installing the Solera slide topper on your 2019 Keystone Impact 5th wheel toy hauler.